Welcome back, everyone. Talking today about why I chose the Aprilia Tuareg. I am a beginner rider and I really had no experience other than maybe a handful of times on motorbikes, dirt bikes growing up. Maybe an hour total my whole lifetime, and then at 42 years of age I decided I'm gonna go get my license and buy a bike. And that journey started 5 years ago when I saw a multistrada, the Ducati multistrada. I used to walk by a dealership in Nanjing, China almost every day 5 years ago. They had Ducatis, Benellis. I didn't know anything about them, but I knew I liked the look of the multistrada. So that's where the seed was planted, and I started researching it, and I thought this must be the best bike, the multistrada. That's all I could think about. And I went a little bit OCD on it. That's how I can be. After researching and reviewing, it didn't take too long before I had to face reality and admit it was not the bike for me. For one, expensive, and also it didn't seem that off-road capable. So that led me down the trail of researching all the different bikes. I knew I wanted something that could go off-road fairly well. I also wanted it to be street legal. So I was torn between dual sport or ADV. And I guess I had this feeling that a dual sport was really just a dirt bike. It wasn't, I guess, what I would call a real bike. And I wanted a real bike, whatever that means. But I guess something that's a license for sure, maybe some more features. And I ended up going the ADV route, which I'm learning, maybe not. Maybe I'll still get a different bike. I'm new, I'm still learning what I like. I quickly learned riding highway is not my thing. It's quite boring, especially where I live. It's flat, it's straight, not very good highways. So I don't have a whole lot of excitement on the highway. Maybe that's some people saying, maybe that will be my thing in the future. Cruising is taking in the sights, but for now, not really what excites me. So I've hardly been on the road highway at all. After the multistrada, I was thinking BMW, KTM, they're full-size bikes. I had this idea that it had to be full-size because I'm 6'2", 200 pounds, and I saw that movie with whatever actor when he took the BMW across Europe and into Western Europe or something like that. Obi-Wan, whatever his name is. And I thought, yeah, BMW is the way it has to be. And it has to be the 1250. Can't be anything smaller. But then I got to see some in person. I saw how it looked when these older men like me were trying to ride them. Saw videos where guys would take them in the trails. Once they fell, it took 3 grown men to pick them up, and I thought, you know, maybe some people they love that. For me, that looks like torture. I don't want a full-size bike. That's just, I work hard every day doing construction. I don't want to do that on the weekend. So I thought, okay, smaller bike. Still like the BMW. I was hooked on the BMWs. I thought maybe the 850, I think it is, small enough. And this was at the point where I was getting my license, my learners, and seriously considering purchasing a bike. So it was definitely up there. It's a little bit expensive and a little bit, couldn't find anything local. And then I started thinking, okay, what about this Honda 300 Rally? That might be the bike for me. Low maintenance. That's the kind of bike for me, low maintenance. Even though it's underpowered, but I'm a beginner. That might be the bike for me. And people told me, you're a beginner, take that bike, that'd be great on the trails. low maintenance, EFI, and I almost pulled the trigger on that 300 Rally, and I still think that might be a good bike, but it needs mods. I need to beef up the suspension. They say the ECU unit, that's got to be replaced. Well, most people like to replace it anyways to change the engine mapping, and it really is underpowered, which maybe that's okay as a beginner. I have hurt myself on this bike in my first season, my first 5 months. I've been in the hospital twice because of this bike and my inexperience, but it was a good decision. It is still a heavy bike. If this bike could lose 100 pounds, it would be awesome. It's got plenty of power. I love the cruise control. I love the big screen. I think I'm from a different perspective than a lot of motorcycle riders. I know a lot of people just want the bike simple. I was also looking at the Tenere. Nice simple bike, right? No electronics, nothing can go wrong. But in my opinion, coming from outside of the motorbike world, I have a different perspective, and I think, you know, every bike needs to have a screen like this. Every bike, even a dirt bike, I think. Well, not a dirt bike, not a motocross bike, but an enduro bike if you're riding it on the trails. I hate those small displays with just a little LCD, like on a, well, like the Honda Rally, for example. I think that's pathetic. Everybody has a smartphone nowadays with a big screen like this one. It's not a huge expense, and in my opinion, that's something that I almost require in a bike. I think, why not? It's so simple, it's not expensive. To me, it adds a lot. There was also, right before I bought this, as this came out, I had to pre-order it. It wasn't actually on the market yet. Around the same time, there was talks about the Ducati Desert X, which was also kind of something I was thinking about. But it was a bigger bike. Some early reviews said it's still really not that good off-road. Not that this is the best bike off-road, but I think it's doing well. I'm doing a few jumps today. I've also got it set up nicely for sand now, so I'm not falling all the time and hurting myself. Is it the perfect bike for off-road? No, this is something that I'm having fun with, but if I really want to enjoy jumping and playing in the sand, I guess I should get some sort of dual sport. But there's something about this, I still like it. I would not hesitate or tell anyone to stay away from this. But bikes are so personal, it depends on what you want. And I'm still new. I got barely over 2,000 kilometers, mostly on off-road sand, almost all of it. And that's the extent to my experience on bikes, so I'm sure my attitude will change as time goes on. But I'm seeing what I can do and what this bike can do. And not a lot of complaints I could say for what this bike is, for a 400-pound bike, what it can do in the sand. Even doing some jumps today, some small jumps, but it's got amazing suspension, cruise control, big screen, a little bit on the expensive side. I think what I've been researching lately is modding a Yamaha 450F. If I had the money, a Dakar replica KTM, but that starts getting heavy again. It also has things I don't need, more fuel capacity than I need, which adds weight. Even the empty tanks add some weight. The Rally Tower, the navigation tower, looks cool. I don't need it. I just need a screen. That's all I want. All kinds of decisions. I'm starting to learn why people change their bikes all the time. Because you always think it's greener on the other side and want to try something new, and none of us can afford 5 bikes at the same time. So let me know if you guys have any experience with the Yamaha 450F. I don't think it's street legal, or I don't know if I can make it street legal in my area. Maybe, maybe not. Also, I like the look of having a rally navigation tower on it, but I don't need all of that. The big bore, that's a lot of money for the big bore setup, and the starter seems to be an issue on the Yamaha 450. I hate the idea. Well, I've even been on one recently and having to kickstart it because the starter stops working right away. Let me know your thoughts. Give me some advice on the Yamaha 450F if I want to mod it just to look a little bit different and maybe perform slightly different. Thanks guys. Enjoy your Tuareg if you have one. Stay in touch.